Do you want to run your sales negotiations in a way that removes all of the emotion from the process so that you can just do a simple transaction between you and the buyer so that you get more deals done quicker than ever before? Then let's get into the logical negotiations framework. Hi, my name is Will and I make selling simple. If you want to make selling simple, why not grab a copy of our free book today? It's beautiful, there's loads of diagrams. This framework is in the book. Head over to salesman.com/book and it's completely free. Grab your copy right now. So, sales has changed. The modern B2B buyer, procurement team, finance team, they're all trained in processes to negotiate to get the best deal out of sales professionals like you and I. So, all of the old school ways of tricking your buyers into getting deals done just no longer work. That's why we created the logical negotiations framework, and we're going to take you through each one of these steps in this video. So let's get started. The first step of any negotiation is to label all of the different options both you as the seller and the buyer has. For the buyer, it might be different payment terms, it might be different deal sizes that they've got opportunity to do and to add value from your perspective. As a seller, it might be the product that you offer, it might be additional features, it might be an additional level of support that you can offer the buyer as well. So that's step number one. Step number two, we need to get to what we call the no. Essentially what we're doing here is better understanding the boundaries that the buyer can operate within. So we know our own boundaries. We can't offer the product for free. We can't do this level of discount. We need to understand where the buyer is at with all of this. So how do we go about doing this? We're going to ask the question, would it make sense to, and then we're going to give them a low offer in exchange for a high exchange of resources. So from their perspective, it's going to be a low offer from our side of features, the benefits, the consulting, whatever we offer, for a high exchange in resources. From their perspective, that's going to be the deal size. And essentially we're lowballing the buyer here. We're trying to suss out what is the bottom that they will go to before they say no. And that's a clear boundary that's now been set, which helps us negotiate later in the process. So once we get the no from the buyer, we now ask the question, okay, what would make sense for you? And now we're getting a better idea, a better picture of what's going to pull them into what we call the deal zone. And this is the deal zone here, this green area. What we're trying to do is get this teeter-totter, this balancing board to balance up so that our value is within the deal zone and their value is as well. If at this point you get the buyer into the deal zone with the variables, the options that you laid out at the beginning of the process, so they want a discount, so you're going to reduce a feature or consulting, or perhaps they want that feature or consulting so you can increase the deal size and everyone's happy, congratulations, you've just done the negotiation, it's over, well done, move on to the next steps. But if that doesn't happen, then we're going to run through the rest of the logical negotiation framework. Step 3 is that we're going to invent new options for the buyer. And let me tell you this, if a deal size in B2B sales is large enough that you're willing to negotiate and they're not just buying off a price sheet, there is always the option to invent new options to get the deal done. This could be making an introduction between your CFO and the finance team to have a meeting about changes in the marketplace. There's obviously tremendous value in the buyer for that. If the deal is slanted the other way around, you need to suck more value from the buyer. Perhaps it could be a case study, a testimonial, something along those lines to balance out the deal in your favor. It could be the buyer scrapping their usual 90-day net terms and payment up front. Whatever it is, we're trying to invent new options here so that we've got more variables to balance out that teeter-totter to get the deal done. To start off this process of inventing new options, we can ask the buyer, hey, is there anything else that you think that we can add to the conversation here that we haven't already discussed to make this process quick and simple? So there's something subtle happening here. We're not saying to the buyer, what do you want? Because we can offer all this stuff, because that then just leads to the buyer giving you a list of demands that are never going to happen. Instead, we're framing up the question with, what can make this process quick and simple? What do we need to do to just get this deal done? So at this point in the process, we have identified the different variables, the options that we have. We've got to the boundaries of where we will both go within the negotiation by getting to a solid point of no. We have invented new options that we didn't know either side had to negotiate with at the top of the process. And now it's time to get a deal done. So step number 4 is getting to the point where everyone agrees that that is fair. And we get there by asking the buyer the question, hey, so you said we couldn't do X, and I, from my side, can't do Y. Is it fair to do Z? And Z is in between X and Y. This is your compromise. And again, something subtle here. We're not asking what is the best deal that we can do. We're asking what is the fairest deal? What is the deal where both sides are happy with the outcome? We've uncovered all the options, we've created new ones, we're having a good conversation here. We're just trying to get to this point where their value matches your value and everyone is in this deal zone. And you'll find that if you've been straight with the buyer at this point and you've kept emotion out of things, you've kept shenanigans or manipulation out of the process, you've been very logical, you've outlined all the options, you've been almost, I wouldn't say mechanical, but you've been, essentially the word is logical throughout this entire process, they're going to be straight with you. They're not going to bullshit you back. And so very quickly, you're going to find yourself in this zone and you're going to have the options laid out. And that is it, right? That's the negotiation over. Well, not quite so fast there. There is one final step that you have to address. As the salesperson, this is your responsibility to address this next step before the deal is considered done. And this is the step of commitment, right? A deal is not done until some action has been taken. Let me say that again, because this is really important for me to wrap my head around when I'm selling. When I first understood this, this changed the game in negotiations. A deal is not done or a negotiation is not complete until action has been taken. Basically, you can't leave the negotiation until there's some next steps in place and there's been some momentum brought towards them. And this process is dead simple. We're going to ask the question, hey, okay, so you agree that A for B, so my exchange of value for your exchange of value is fair. So now we're going to organize these next steps. We're going to put some action in the process. If I now organize X, will you do Y? If I now send you over the contracts, will you sign them this afternoon? If I now book a meeting with our procurement team or legal team to make sure that this all goes through succinctly, will you give me the contact details of the people that I need from your side to make this happen? This process has got to be done. You put this process into place and then you will shrink your deal cycle lengths immediately. Rather than, okay, that was a great conversation, then the buyer comes back to you 2 weeks from now and says, I've changed my mind. You've got commitment, you've got action, you've now got social proof. There's a whole ton of influence being piled on top of everyone, both your side and theirs, to make this happen now. And so you're going to shrink your deal cycle lengths and you're going to reduce the chances of the buyer ghosting you by a gazillion%. So there we go. There are the 5 steps of the logical negotiation framework. Label, start with no, invent options, that's fair, and then get that commitment. If I will do this, you will do that. And if you enjoyed this video, why not click the video that's on the screen right now and continue making selling simple.